to the Kim B. Davis Show. Here we'll talk to the leaders in technology, culture, business, and the arts. We'll cover politics, advocacy, motherhood, writing, mental health, and mostly we'll focus on hope. Join Kim B. Davis, author, playwright, radio personality, event consultant, professional speaker on the Kim B. Davis Show.
Welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis, and this evening we have one of our favorite guests, Mr. Eric Harp. He is our certified professional licensed fitness instructor. And of course, this evening we're going to be talking about fitness and how fitness aids us in keeping our mental side healthy. But of course, we got to talk current topics. But before we get to that, good evening, Mr. Eric Harp. How are you?
Good evening, Mrs. Davis. How are you today?
I'm great. All right, so let's get to
time.
It is a beautiful time, but it's also a sad time in our country because some people are going through some really traumatic times. Last week we saw in Atlanta, 8 people were gunned down, and I still don't understand the reasoning that's been given this. It's shocking to me how police responded to it by coming out with a press conference and stating that this man had a bad day and that this was the outcome, as if to say, because he had a bad day, instead of going to get a cup of coffee, going for a walk, exercise, whatever it is, he decided to shoot some people because of whatever reason.
That's a bad day.
That's a bad day. That's a bad day. And it's almost as if they were giving him permission because he had a bad day. And then yesterday, or was it Sunday? I can't keep up now.
2 days ago, it was Sunday.
So it was Sunday. Boulder, Colorado, people doing something that people have to do every day. Go to the grocery store, and a gunman walked in and started firing. And they had, I don't remember how many people died, but they had victims range from the age of 20 to 65, they said, and a police officer was killed. What is going on, Mr. Hart? Maybe they need to work out with you. I'm not being funny, but I'm like, something's going on.
Well, really, it's a combination of things. First off, this racism, this deep-seated racism. Right now, we're hearing about white supremacy. And there's more to this country than just black and white. But white supremacy, just those two words together, is thinking that white is the supreme race, and that will go over any race. And right now, the Asian race is catching it. The way that our former president classified this virus as something inherent from the Orient or from Asia by calling it the Kung flu and the China flu. And then our own ignorance of not knowing the difference between a Cambodian, a Korean, a Japanese, or Chinese, or any other of the Asian countries, Taiwanese. By sight, many of us can't tell the difference. And so we lump them in one big area. And then to see this happen, it's just a shame. Now, taking it to that next step, when the spokesperson, the sheriff, the chief of police, or whoever that was that got on the camera and said that this man was just having a bad day, is the exact same reason why juries let people off. It's the same thinking, that deep-seated thinking that, well, don't worry. He just had a bad day, let him sleep it off. He was drunk. He did this. It's not that bad. And that kind of thinking is what keeps other races down. That kind of thinking is what keeps our legal system so messed up and imperfect. And why we can't find juries that can convict. So even with the George Floyd case, you can't find anyone in this world who hasn't seen that. You can't find anyone who hasn't seen this man put his knee on George Floyd's neck.
Mhm.
So our entire legal system. Now, if I may, I got to keep going.
Please do.
Then the officer that was killed during the riot, and they want to honor him. They just want to honor him. And all the Republicans, all of our Republicans voted no.
I saw that. Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Ron Johnson, the senator, says, this was nothing. He wasn't scared of those people. These people were nothing. Then he turns around and he says, well, it was Antifa that was in the crowd. And then, of course, to watch the debate on The View, Antifa's not an organization.
It's not.
It's an ideology.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a group of people. It's not a group of people. And then the group of people that is in trouble, the Proud Boys. Nah, they were just having a bad day. Those guys are just regular citizens who like to wear duck hunting clothes. They're just regular guys. So what is this world coming to? And where we are in Michigan, we have our open carry laws. We have our gun laws. But what scares me is that these things have to change.
Mm-hmm.
These situations are making these gun laws have to change. And these bumper stickers that are saying, I dare you, come get my gun. I dare you.
Mm-hmm.
What are we in for?
Mm-hmm.
What are we in for? So that's a question that needs to be answered, but won't be answered until our legislature decides to come off of one subject and move on to the next. So we are the hamsters spinning our wheels.
And it very much feels like that. I want to go back to something you said. Yes. What is ironic to me is that when the Republicans said no, I thought, were you not at the impeachment or at the second impeachment hearings where they show the video? Brian Sicknick suffered greatly. For anyone to say that police officer, that father, that man, that leader, wherever he was from his community, decided to go to work that day and have his head squeezed like a watermelon.
Yeah, I mean, it's atrocious. It's atrocious.
It's absolutely.
Bear sprayed, pepper sprayed. I mean, when they close up on the video and you can hear him screaming, help, please, stop.
And they're mocking him.
But I guess those people were just having bad days too. You know, I guess all of those people were just having bad days. And I can't have a bad day.
No, absolutely not. Elijah McClain couldn't have had a bad day. He was killed right down the street from where the shooting happened at this grocery store with no gun in his hand, simply saying, please don't touch me.
But we have a long list of people who had bad days. Mm-hmm. Breonna Taylor had a bad day. George Floyd had a bad day. Trayvon Martin had a bad day. Mm-hmm. You know, they just had a bad day because they weren't doing anything and then they were killed.
This is true.
You know, Jacob Blake. Mm-hmm. What were they killed for? They just had a bad day?
Laquan McDonald.
Then the list goes on. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we can go on and on in our history of people who had bad days and were just innocently killed. Mm-hmm. And so the people that got off, well, they really had bad days. You know, they needed a cup of coffee. They needed to do a couple push-ups, you know, run around a little bit, sweat it out. But, you know, this, by the way, I got my vaccination, and I know that there's a lot of debate on getting the vaccination when it's available. It was available to me, and I did it.
Okay.
Now, I know it's a personal choice. I don't twist anybody's arm. However, I feel much better knowing that I have it, the vaccination, than wondering what if. Anyway, whatever that feeling is, I'm not going through it. So personally, I took it, and I know that in the Black community, there's a lot of apprehension. And the process was relatively simple. National Guard was out. It was a 20-minute process. I walked in, got my shot. I waited my 10 minutes like they asked me to, and then I walked out.
Very good.
And no side effects, no nothing. I got the one shot, Johnson & Johnson. That was what was available that day. So again, I never had the flu shot. Never had the flu. And for all my years, my reasoning for never getting the flu shot was I never had the flu. And there are people who get the flu all the time. And in my line of work, I mean, listen, there's people who have the flu all the time. I've just been fortunate to never have it. But I won't play with this one. The flu kills, COVID kills. You know, I feel I'm not gonna roll the dice on everything. So I'm turning around to get this flu vaccine. I heard that changes all the time. So you know, let's just go ahead. I'm all about health and well-being. And this is just another part of it, and especially at this time. And so that leads me to the mental part of it, because now that you know, I feel vaccinated, it's almost like another piece of armor. You know, I feel a little bit better. You know, not that I'm going to go ahead and just touch everything and start throwing things in my mouth again. I mean, you know, you still got to be careful grabbing gas pumps. You're like, how many people touch this thing? But you know, it's a different way of doing things. But again, personally, I feel much better. And whatever this herd immunity, I got my part of it. And whoever's listening, if you're on the fence about it, go ahead, do it. When it becomes available, this is, I think it's much safer to have than to not have, you know. And so, you know, I wish whoever's listening the best, whatever decision that you need to make, go for it. Whether you do or whether you don't, go for it. But I'm all about well-being, so let's keep that going.
That's
now,
right.
Let's jump into something. I wonder, as a young lady, congratulations. This is Women's History Month.
It is
Women's Her Story Month. And want to congratulate you as you've been sharing your history and your story throughout your journey to the many listeners that you have. I want to congratulate you.
Well, thank you.
This is a beautiful platform that you have.
Thank you. You know, our year anniversary is coming up. I had to look it up because I was like, okay, the show started very close to COVID, but we've got another month. So we're April 20th. So that'll be our year anniversary. I got to plan something for that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So
yeah, so yes, go ahead, please.
Oh no. So you made me think of something else that I need to run back. So did you know that Derek Chauvin, the police officer who killed George Floyd, is back on trial again?
13 jurors.
Yes.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
The judge is not playing.
No.
And that's what I like. The judge is not playing. But as I mentioned, there's nobody in this world who hasn't seen this video. So to even have the 7 jurors that they had for so long, let's just see what, you know, every time we get into a situation like this, it's all about prayers, trust in the Lord, trust in God, and and trust that things will balance out.
Mhm.
Of all the televised murders, this is probably the most egregious. I mean, this was probably the worst, to watch a man just take his last breath
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
in a close-up.
Mhm. Where
In a
you could.
close-up. I
Mhm.
mean, in a close-up. You could read the badge. You could read the Chauvin's badge number
Mhm.
with his hands in his pocket.
Yeah.
The body language. I can't breathe.
Mhm.
That was. They don't make movies like that.
They don't.
So for there's no one who has not seen it. So 13 jurors, do the right thing.
Mhm.
Do the right thing. And any lawyer that gets up there and defends this action needs to rot. This is just stereotypical lawyer stuff, like sleazy lawyer stuff. Just throw a plea in and say, I'm not going to represent this guy. You on your own.
So, I have to disagree with you, and you know why.
Come
Uh,
on. Come on.
so one of the things, I was always raised to believe that people have every right to a defense. And I'm not defending what Derek Chauvin said or his actions. I think that he should have good defense, only because if you don't, there will always be an asterisk if he is convicted, because the city has already agreed to pay the family $27 million. The defense came back and said, we need to change the venue. We can't find any jurors. Nobody, because as you said, everybody's seen this, and not everybody knows that the city basically said, well, he guilty. We're going to give him $27 million. And now you brought him back up on third-degree murder charges. You fired the other police officers. Yes.
They needed though. They needed that.
No,
They
they did.
needed the third degree. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
A lot of people. Yeah. Come on, you're the daughter of a lawyer. So not everybody knows that, but I know that you have a little bit more legalese than most. And so that third degree murder charge that they needed to bring was to ensure that that first and second degree did not just get passed over like normal. The third degree has to be considered like manslaughter. But that third degree, yeah, that has to be in there. And so good job to the prosecution and for getting that part in there. And so with that, please, everybody does have a right to defense. That is part of our Bill of Rights. And I agree. I'm just personally frustrated talking. Everybody deserves a defense. But there is no defense for that.
No, there isn't. And what we don't want to see is some hotshot defense attorney come in with some, over the top. And I'm going to use this name, and not to say that I'm making light of who he is, but a Johnny Cochran style of defense that got OJ out of trouble. You don't want to see a defense attorney come in and do that, where you spin it and he puts it in the public viewpoint, right, and opinions and different things like that. And the next thing you know, Derek Chauvin is walking free, and then we're all looking like, okay, here we go back again. With first degree murder, you got to prove intent. And what a lot of people don't understand, they'll say, but he did. And I'm like, but you weren't in his head. And so you got to be able to prove that. So right now, if they can prove third degree murder and get him on that, let's take that, because that has jail time. We don't know what that'll look like. And now that there's been a civil suit and a decision, who knows what else might come out of that, because there may be other people in the works, because from what I understand, his jacket, he's got quite a few complaints against him for similar actions. And it just turned out that George Floyd was the person that he killed.
Is the one he crossed the line with. Right.
Right.
I think that the city did the right thing. The $27 million was definitely the right thing. I mean, you can't put a price tag on someone's life. You can't put a price tag on the publicity of someone's murder. However, in the way that these civil suits and these monetary compensations, these lives were cut short. They weren't given the opportunity to create and to leave something for their loved ones. And so with the city stepping in and actually, chipping in, so that the family can have some kind of future as they grieve. I think that's accurate. When you hear the naysayers, unfortunately, it doesn't happen to many other communities like it does to the Black community. I mean, there's deaths and there's murders and there's accidental deaths and there's police killings all the time. That's true. But it, proportionally doesn't happen as it does. So shooting through the wall in the Breonna Taylor or knee in the neck in the George Floyd, a Jacob Blake case where they have to award these families X amount of millions of dollars. But again, the naysayers, the politicians, the mayors who run on campaign or with campaigns of why are we giving this money to these families? It's a never-ending cycle because we need to defund the police and some of these military tactics. But then you get into a situation like a Boulder, Colorado, in a state where they can openly carry military-style guns. Well, they need the military-style tactics. They need the armor. They're the ones who could use, but it's a catch-22 because how do we defund the police when we allow ordinary citizens to run as they do? How do we police the police when we can't even police ourselves?
Exactly.
How do we let the police us when the police can't police themselves? So I think everybody needs to do some push-ups. Everybody needs to run around the track a little bit.
I absolutely agree with you. And the last thing I'm gonna say on that is one of the things, everybody talks about, oh, now they have some money. And I said, but it's not gonna bring back that person.
No.
Because George Floyd has a daughter. And to see her and listen to her whole entire life now is going to be framed around the fact that the police murdered her father. When you look at Jacob Blake, his children were in the car when he was shot. I can't imagine the therapy that these children are going to go through, and that even when they become older and have some time away from this, their interactions between police could be very scary. It's like the family out west, and I don't remember if it was Colorado or if it was Arizona, but it was someplace where the police had the whole family in the parking lot on the ground, including the baby. And the baby was like 2 years old, just wailing. And they were just like, well, and I'm like, you have guns pointed at babies. Do you not and these were Black people, of course. And I'm like, do you not understand? And so I've had this conversation with several people when we talk about defund the police, and I agree with you. But what I really would like to see, instead of cities and communities paying these settlements, make them pay it out of their pension. Because if you hold the police financially accountable, that makes a difference. Because then the good ones might say, you know what, you messing with my bread and butter. That's my family's money. Because right now, if Derek Chauvin isn't convicted and he gets off, I don't know if he can retire, but he can go about his business and get a pension. Exactly. And live his life.
Could probably go get a security job somewhere else and utilize his experience to go and be some consultant for some crazy it's the sky's the limit with with law enforcement experience. Now you know, I don't know what blackballed means to some.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know what blackballed means in my world, but but to some I don't really know what blackballed means because you know I've seen others have a future elsewhere.
Exactly.
Well, I've read the stories. You've read the stories. Others who've had futures and successful futures
Mm-hmm.
elsewhere,
Mm-hmm.
who carried past very similar to something like this.
Mm-hmm.
So our society right now, as we try and try and try to get better, we have a long way to go. We have a very long way to go. And it's really not about the guns. It's about the safety of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And what if you saw somebody carrying a long gun? Would you call 911? Would you say, hey, I just saw somebody carrying a weapon that you shouldn't be carrying?
That's what happened to Tamir Rice.
And so you, but again, the catch-22, you make a phone call and say, hey, there's somebody sitting out in front of my store, counting money.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find this big guy getting out of a car and you're like, whoa, you're a little bit too big. And then the next thing you know, you got a knee on your neck.
Right.
And you didn't do anything. So it's kind of, there is no one answer. There's no one perfect science for any of this. The only thing that we need that's common is tolerance, love. We need love. The greatest of these is love.
That's right.
We need tolerance. We need patience to get along with each other. There's so many heart-wrenching stories. You're hearing about unaccompanied minors at our borders. Then you hear the story being twisted out of proportion politically that our president is just allowing, rapists into our country. Then these unaccompanied minors and these people are coming to steal your jobs, and you can't let them steal your jobs. And it's like, can't we just be tolerant? I thought we were a nation of immigrants. Well, jam them up at this one portal, and it's like, all of us have been victims of having to stand in one grocery aisle. You got 20 aisles and all the lights are off. You got one with the light on. And that's how they're doing the border.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they're doing to checkpoints at the border. You're going to close all the grocery lanes and then get it on the news and say, this is the president's fault. So
that's a great analogy.
It's amazing how it's done, and we're a nation of immigrants. So I also watch and read our president has done more in 60 days than our previous administration was able to get done in his first 4 years.
Right.
Again, 150 million vaccines, 100 million vaccinations given, and whatever the numbers might be, whatever the numbers might be, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And now we got our former administration say, well, hey, it's only a good thing because I did it. You wouldn't even have this good thing if it wasn't for me. And what happened to the days of can't we all just get along? What happened to the Kumbaya song? Anybody remember the lyrics to that?
How about Bobby McFerrin, just be happy.
You ain't even have to sing it. Go, ooh, 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 ooh.
So I've got to pivot because,
Okay.
we'll talk politics for the whole show. But you bring up a good point. So, we've got all these headlines going on. We have a president who is under intense criticism for a lot of different things. And so if you're a family that lives in a border state, it is hotly political. If you are a family that lives in some of the border states like Texas or Florida, you've got issues with mask mandates. And so you may be having apprehension about getting a vaccination. You may be having apprehension about should you wear your mask or should you go with the crowd? As we've seen in Miami, it's absolute chaos with folks just spring breaking. And, I always liken, I use an example from Chris Rock when he talks about, have you ever seen Black people go on break? He said, when we break, we break. So they are seriously breaking down there in the street, fighting, drinking, all kinds of debauchery going on. But
with a purpose, and that purpose is because I got to.
Exactly.
And do you? Listen, you talk about mask. I'll promote the mask. You gotta wear it.
Yes.
Now you gotta wear your mask almost everywhere you go. You can't even walk into a building without wearing a mask. You can't walk into a gas station just to ask for your gas. You can't even walk up to you can't even walk up to an ATM without wearing your mask. So pretty soon, I think that it's going to be the same way with vaccinations. You have to show your vaccination card. You got your laminated vaccination card, you can come in. And that would be one of those private businesses would have that particular right. When they say they have the right to refuse entry, those big red letters are going to start coming out to people like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You telling me I can't come in?
Right.
You got to have, you either got to have your mask on, and people are so tired of masks. I hear it at the gym. I'm at the gym. Do I have to wear it while I work out? Do I have to wear this mask while I work out? Now the answer is no. Can't force anybody to wear a mask while they're exerting energy and breathing difficulties. However, it's a catch-22, So for myself, I got vaccinated just to make sure that I stay as healthy as possible. But in my environment, that's what I felt I needed to do. But I believe that there will be a time that you will have to show proof of your well-being, proof of your avoidance of this COVID-19 and all of the different strains, because there will be another Dr. Fauci. There will be another Dr. Walensky who will be coming out and giving their expert opinions and mandates on what we're going to have to do. So we better get used to this.
And I absolutely agree with you. I think they're going to start with passports. You won't be able to travel unless you have one because we've got hot spots around the world. And then I agree, it'll probably start certain places who have been a little bit more stricter just to make sure that people are protecting their fellow neighbors.
Florida.
Yeah.
Florida.
But so, for people who are watching the news and who are listening to this and like, oh my goodness, there's so much going on. And I know we talk about fitness once a month, but how does fitness help our mental health?
Gives you something else to concentrate on. Oxygen to your brain. Just the physical exertion as you feel the sweat. You can feel the problems just melt away. Exercise is good. Exercise is not only good for the body. Of course, it's good for the body. All of your cells and what happens on the inside of our body. But our well-being, just the calming rhythm of breathing, the rhythm of life. Life has rhythm. And as you work out, as you start to exercise, you become in tune with the rhythm of your body. Those who are outside, those who run, bike, hike, you become in tune with nature. Those who spend their time in the gym, you become in tune with the rhythm of breathing and moving in that rhythm. Just the overall feeling of good. I mean, whatever good is to you, that smile that comes on, endorphins, just releasing, just puts a big smile on your face. And I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I don't care what age you are. It does that.
Mm-hmm.
And just like little kids, the joy of running, the joy of just moving and getting out there and giggling while you do it. Same thing for adults.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a release. It becomes something that you look forward to, because we all have problems. We all have stress. We all have things that will take us to places that aren't so comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The stresses of life hit us all. But to be able to release this in your sweat.
Mm-hmm.
For some of us, it's doing a yoga class and just stretching those muscles, breathing deeply with your eyes closed. For some people, it's high intense interval training, call it HIIT training, just moving, moving Zumba classes, swimming in the water. These types of exercises will just bring joy to you. And if you've never felt it, I encourage everyone to try it. Now you got to get through a little bit of that. Why? But don't get over that hump. Get over that hill, and the next thing you know, you'll find that gym membership is worth it. You'll find that piece of equipment that you invested in was worth it. You'll find that small jump rope, that simple piece of equipment, made all the difference. Hope that answers your question there, Ms. Davis, because, it's all about good.
And that is a good feeling, because when you are going through something really stressful and you do either a high intensity work, run, swim, or whatever, and I've heard this, I've experienced it, you do feel better. It's like you're able to clear your mind and be able to refocus on whatever. And if you're a person who's struggling with something, a lot of times you will work out, and after you work out, the answer will come to you because your mind will be that much clearer. So, but you mentioned breathing, and I want to talk about how breathing and stretching is important for exercise.
Well, we all need oxygen. We need oxygen for every piece of our body.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times I will see people working out, and there's a science to working out. We do 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15. Just numbers. They're not random numbers. They mean something.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is getting to 15 is a goal. I see people hold their breath and go as fast as they can and hurry up and get 15 reps. You didn't have a chance to let your body get any oxygen. So now those 15 reps meant absolutely nothing. So
Oh.
I try to teach people to work in a rhythm. So inhale, exhale, bring it close, blow it out. So as you move the weight, exhale. As you resist against the weight, inhale. Find the rhythm to it. Take your time with it. You'll find that you'll get much better results with your muscle structure. You'll find that you get much better results with calming yourself. A lot more mental relaxation when you're able to breathe. Now, many of us have headphones. We have these Bluetooth headphones in our ears, and there's a rhythm and there's a beat. Work with it. Don't fight it. Many of us will not work with that beat that's in our headphones. Work with it. If it's a high energy song, then put a little energy into it. No? Find your rhythm. It's important. Now, breathing, definitely take your time. Take your time so you don't have to pant. There will be time to catch your breath. There will be time to breathe hard, but don't hold your breath. It's very important.
Now, what about stretching? Why is stretching important?
Stretching is very important because we have to keep our muscles limber. We have to keep our muscles active or able to keep us active. So we need our muscles elastic. Okay, we can cramp up. We can form small knots, and I'm sure you've all felt those. So being able to bend over, being able to reach above our heads, being able to reach this side and to that side, being able to twist. These are ordinary functions that we all need to do. If you drop your keys, you got to bend over and pick them up, right? You got to bend over and tie your shoes, right? So it behooves you to bend over and touch your toes and stretch and keep that stretch available to you, okay? Sometimes you have to reach on top of the refrigerator, reach to that top shelf. Sometimes you just have to, who knows, reach on something that you never had to reach before. You want to be able to keep your arms to go above your head. We all have to pick up things. So these are just ordinary body functions or life functions. And so you want to stay limber and your muscles are elastic. So you want to keep them stretched. I mean, it's just well-being. Everything's about feeling good. You know, cramps don't feel good, ever.
They do now.
Pop, 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 pop. Don't sound good. You know, it doesn't sound good when you're bending over or when you're twisting, you know. It's always a good thing to keep the fluidity of your body.
So, you know, we've been home, trapped in the pandemic, or I shouldn't say trapped, but sheltering safe at home. And some people had to adapt different strategies to working from home. So some people learned to work out of their kitchen. Some people learned to work from their dining room if they didn't have a separate room. And some people had to work from their couch. And I've heard a lot of people talk about how when you sit on the couch and you hold a laptop or you're working at a computer desk, whatever it is, a lot of people have said they have developed poor posture now or poor habits that have led to poor posture. Are there some exercises, Mr. Harp, that people can do to help strengthen and loose, like you said, keeping their body limber and loose to help loosen up their posture, their spine?
Well, yes, there are some back exercises, some back stretches. Something that's relatively inexpensive are the exercise balls, inflatable exercise balls. Some people use them as chairs. Well, when you sit on them, you definitely have to hold your abs in and keep your back straight because there's no back to it. However, it's soft. You can roll with it. You can angle your body as you roll it along your back and stretch. The exercise balls is relatively inexpensive. I mean, they're under $10, and comes with an air pump, or you can get your own air pump, and you can fill it up to your exact proportions. That's a good one. There are things that you can do on the floor, getting on your hands and knees. Yoga exercises. There's some quick poses that you can Google. Just some quick back poses. These exercises are relatively energy free. They may require getting on up and down from the floor, but not too much energy, and will allow you to stretch your back and allow you to breathe. Now, as far as helping with ab work, ab work, got to work those abs, got to work the stomach area, because part of a strong back is strong abs. Now, I know that there's many people who don't like to do ab work because you got to get on the floor. You want to get on the floor? Just the thought of getting on the floor. Well, we got to erase that. Get a yoga mat. Those yoga mats are relatively inexpensive. In fact, I don't want to promote any stores, but you can get them under $10. You can get them under $5. You can get them below $5.
I got you.
But what I'm saying is, you could get a yoga mat. You could get some yoga utensils and stretch. Again, get on the floor. Get on the floor. Bring your knees up towards your chest and feel that pop, 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 pop in your back. And then twist from side to side. Try to put those knees on the floor on your right side. Keep your shoulders on the floor, flat on the floor, and just try to put your knees on one side. And twist and try to put your knees on the other side. Just feel the stretches in your back. Now sit down again. You'll feel like you're able to sit up a little straighter. Hold those shoulders back. Push that chest out. Good posture. And then practice it. And practice it so that you can hold it all the time. Good posture.
That's good advice. Okay, so I've heard that there is a way to do ab work in a chair. Is that true?
You can do some ab work in a chair.
Okay.
Listen, there's your upper abs, mid abs, lower abs, and your lower abs is about lifting your legs. Many of us who do crunches, if you're doing crunches correctly, you're going to work your upper abs. Okay. Many of us think in terms of a six pack. So you got 2 at the top, 2 in the middle, down below. I mean, it's more like an 8 to 10 pack, when you really get to it, because there's muscles that go below the belt. But for the lower abs, especially with women working with your lower abs, you have to lift your legs up. You have to get those legs up. And so on the floor, it will behoove you to hold your knees. Hold your knees up. Find a 90-degree position. Hold your knees up and keep your feet out in the 90-degree position. And now do some ab work. Do a crunch. Listen, they're going to be awkward at first. They're going to be so awkward, you're going to feel like you're not able to do it. But just keep going. It gets easier. Your ab muscles get stronger. Now you're able to come up a little further off the floor. Now you're able to do those crunches in different positions. And now you can work on some of those middle abs, and things get better the more you do it. Just a little practice, a little patience, and a little practice.
That is a great way to end our show, Mr. Harp. A little bit of practice and a little bit of patience. Tell us how we can find you, Mr. Harp.
EricHarp9@gmail.com. Send me any questions, any information. And once a month, I'll be right here on the Kim B. Davis Show. Talk to me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harp, for coming on. We look forward to seeing you next month when we'll continue this fascinating conversation about fitness.
Thank you for having me, and take care.
No problem. Thank you guys for watching the Kim B. Davis Show. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and TikTok under Kimberly Batchelor Davis, and Batchelor is spelled BATCHELOR. You can also see this show on youtube.com/Kimberly Batchelor Davis. You can also go to my website at kimbdavis.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope we'll see you on our next show. And as always, remember, Be magnificent.